here it's one of the situations where collision and overlapping will work roughly the same. So for this one I will use overlap spikes, player overlap spikes, restart layout, you're dead. So where my windows here? Here, yeah, boom. I'm dead, I'm going back. Okay, so now we have two ways to die in our platformer. I will put some spikes. Let's see. Be a bit like that. Bit evil. And I will put one here and here. Let's see. So we have our coins. Oh, once again, what happened? Hehe, Almeida, you picked the reference. So what happens? Why don't I have my spikes? Oh, I don't know, Mr. Uberdark. Maybe it was your connection. So, yeah, Patrick, you're following. Yeah, you too, Luke. Cool. I'm still on the HUD. Why? Because that's the layer I selected. I have left selected. So I'm usually working on the main layer. I should always revert back to select the main layer. And when you create an object, you should see the layer selected here in the little tooltip. So it's I just have to pay attention. Anyway, just select all the spikes by selecting the object and then change to main. One thing you may have noticed is that when an object is on a layer, it's always in its same position. It's just the layer that doesn't follow the scrolling the same way. But when I went past this point, I didn't die when the spikes were in the wrong layer. I didn't die because the overlapping, the collision detection are parallax aware. Here I will die. Whoops. There's something wrong. No? I didn't remember me passing the... Okay, I go back to the big... Okay, so yeah. I need to die slower. Yeah, so yeah, the overlapping takes... how to say that? Takes into consideration the parallax. Let's say we have this object, this stupid spike object, in the wrong layer. Remind you of something? I will put it here, so I'm sure I will see it on start. So it's in the wrong layer. Let's put it here. Okay. It's in the wrong layer. But if I overlap it, I will die. I want to show you an example with the scrolling. So you notice that even if I scroll the layer, yeah, I will never be able to touch the spike. So my example is stupid. Let's say I have a parallax of 50. Okay. So now it's I will be able to touch my spikes and I will die here. Okay, so the overlap check is will take into consideration the parallax. That's what I wanted to show here. You will rarely use this, the fact that it's parallax aware, but it's a good thing to know. I think it's also a rotation layer aware, or something like that, but I've never tested this. And yeah, you can rotate layers. But doing this with scrolling and parallax at the same time, you will end up with unpredictable results, I'd say. Anyway, we have our coins, we have our ways to die. But someone said earlier that we had a problem. When we die, the coins go back. And that's indeed a problem. I see two ways to solve this problem. The first is to keep track of all your coins you took. You have a list of coins and register all, for instance, all UID of the coins you ever taken, and on start of layout you destroy all the coins you have in your list. Ah, you don't understand. Because you have already thought about the other way to restart a level. But sometimes restarting the layout is a good solution. It depends what you want to keep in your level. For instance, in the Neon platformer, everything you've done is done, even if you die. You kill the robot, it's done. Okay. But sometimes you don't want that. Sometimes you want your coins to disappear, your pickups, you want them to disappear, but you want your enemies to go back when you go back. One of the reasons for that is that sometimes you have to stomp on an enemy to go past a passage. You can't do it without jumping on an enemy. If the enemy dies, you can't go. You can't finish the game. So it can be a problem. You want to respawn your enemies. In Neon platformer, I wanted to do that, and then I discovered that the way I was doing things was the problem. So I added some platformer, so you don't have necessarily to jump on an enemy. But anyway, my game is difficult enough. It's hard enough, so it wasn't necessarily a bad thing. Anyway, yeah, you were in the right mindset. Here we are restarting our game each time. So every coin's going back, everything is going back except for the global variables. So we keep our coins, but they go back. The way we can do it, the way the guy I showed you earlier with which posted in the subreddit, the way he did it was to keep track of how many coins he had before he reached a checkpoint, which is an interesting way to do it. And I think one solution is to eliminate every coins that are before the checkpoint when you die. Okay, that's working more or less well. The problem is if you don't pick all the coins before reaching the checkpoint, you can't really go back to pick leftover coins, because you will destroy them on restart. So it's not really working. The way you can do it simply is to not restart your layout. except, no, I don't want to say except. Instead, that's what I wanted to say. Instead of restarting your layout, you can just replace your player object where you want to go back. Yes, Rindon, I'm going to talk about instance variables, though it's not really we could do it with global variables. So okay, instance variables, global variables, variables in general. I told you last time, variables are your memory. It's where you keep anything you want to get back at some point. Here, for instance, you keep how much coins you get to get it back here. You have a memory of how much. No, Shinkan. The persist behavior is outside of this course because it's too early. It was released 1 or 2 version ago. I prefer not talking about it without at least in a stable version. So maybe before the end of the course, but okay, not now. But it's probably an interesting solution for exactly this problem. But I invite you to test the persist behavior to see how it will work with coins. And I will, this week, test it for you as well. Maybe making a video or talking about it next lesson. We'll see. But, and you should, I wanted to say this as well. I was planning to say this. Each time you have a question, anytime you have a question, make some tests before asking. Just test. It's so simple to build something in Construct2, so simple that you can test any of your questions directly. You don't need necessarily to ask anytime a question pops in your head. Here we are in live. You can't test directly anything, so I'm okay with you asking question. It's great. But for instance, if you have a question you want to ask in the forum of Skira or in our subreddit, it's always great to see people asking questions after they tested something, and sometimes showing what I call a capex, showing a file, because when we see people trying things, we understand better their question. Anyway, so the other way to die, the other dumb way to die is to respawn. To respawn, you have to keep at some point a position information, because it can change. And it change. Without thinking about checkpoints, the respawn position is this position. The only moment you have this information is on start of layout. You will play with your character, it will move, and you will never be able to retrieve this information unless you saved it. Each time you want to save an information, by reflex you have to think variables. When you're a bit more, you know a bit more about construct or programming, you can think array, dictionary as well, but for now it's a variable. Now we have two solutions. Whether we use a global variable, which can be x spawn or respawn, and y respawn, or you can use an instance variable. Here it's the same thing as collision and overlapping. It's equivalent for the specific thing we are doing here. It's equivalent because an instance variable is useful when you have many variables. It's useful to avoid having tons of global variables. Sometimes you want to use an object, and it can be a trick to avoid reaching the 100 events of the free version. So, and since I already used an instance variable for the checkpoints, and you already saw an example of